I don't think white people can experience racism in this country, but we can experience prejudice based on the societal definitions we now use.
All right, so boom. I'm finna cook. Tell me if I'm lying. In my personal opinion, I feel like videos like this are great because we get to really hear people talk and give their perspectives and listen to other stuff, right? But let's be completely honest. The real world doesn't work this way, bro. You're not gonna walk down the street and just have like some dialect with some, like, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, the root of the problem is racism and like all they keep saying systemic, all this other crazy stuff, right? At the end of the day, if we all just come together and become one person, regardless of the skin color, we literally fix the planet. And it's so simple to think that all we have to do is just become a group of people, which is wishful thinking. It's wishful thinking. But like me, for example, right? I go down the street, I'm saying hi to people, I'm greeting people, I'm going in the store, walking by people saying excuse me. Like, I'm literally just being a good person. If everyone just acted like a good person, we wouldn't even be having these conversations. It has nothing to do with your race or whatever. Just be a good person in general. Somebody walks into a store, you get mad at them because their skin color. Like, you need to fix yourself. That's the problem. Not like the whole whatever it is. And then you got black on black crime, people shooting each other. I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm a pacifist. What I'm saying is just let's all come together, hug it out, and like live life peacefully, cherry blossoms, and boom. Jubilee's been on their game lately. They dropping straight bangers. What do black people think of white people? I don't hate white people at all. I have white friends. That's what every person that's what every person says when they have a minority friend. But let's get into the video, man.
I went to a school that was predominantly black when I was growing up. And when I first saw the first white kid, I was like, what is that? You know what I'm saying?
What is that? You know, I went to white schools, I'm not gonna lie. I went to private school when I was younger. Then I went to public school and things changed.
I act differently around people who aren't my race. 3,
Do I?
2, 1.
Not really. I don't really act
I
different.
think the most important thing is just to authentically be yourself, and I don't think being around people who don't look like you should be a reason for you to act any different.
Yeah, for me, I guess it's like within the confines of like the workforce.
I was thinking code switching.
Because if you show up to a meeting talking like this, they're like, uneducated, got it.
Everyone code switches. That's a fact. That's a fact. Everyone does it. You go to work, you can't. Hey, what's going on? Hey, that's what I'm saying. You can't talk to your boss like that, bro. How you doing, Jimmy? I'm doing great, sir. You have a great day. Everyone does that. So, doesn't mean you're like acting different though. I know I'm ugly shirt is wild, yeah.
They'll use the slang to sell the products and to tweet and to get the clicks and stuff. But like as soon as a worker's there who's authentically from the area and talking like people from the area, it's like, ooh, we don't like that. You know, because it's always like, well, be yourself until you yourself. And then it's like, ooh, I don't like yourself. Unfortunately, in a lot of the areas of work, it's like you almost have to like lie to these people to be like, I'm a robot. I'll like, you know, I love your company. Yeah. You know, it's sick. It's sick.
That guy tweeted.
But it's like, you have to get, you know.
True. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like code switching is one part, but also like there's certain parts in my own community that aren't accepted, that when I'm around different people that look like me, I can express myself differently. Like, I feel like if I talk a little proper, sometimes I get a little slack for it from my side of the family.
Yes. You're whitewashed. Why you sound so proper? You talk so proper. You're not from the hood. You're born in the burbs. That's what you always hear. You know what's crazy? I still don't care. You would have thought by now they would have learned.
But when I go out into the world, sometimes I like EDC, I like tech music, I like, you know what I'm saying?
See, for me, I feel like it has nothing to do with race. It more has to do with just being professional. Like, if I'm at work, then I'm obviously going to be a little more proper, you know.
Of course.
A little bit less slang and all of that, and just more careful with my rhetoric. But I don't think it has to do with race.
That's a great word. You said rhetoric.
In political media, so I'm on camera a lot, so people already know who I am and what I'm coming with. But that being said, it's like when I'm around
That be
black
mentality?
people, because I'm a Republican, sometimes they tend to be really standoffish with me or think that I don't understand the culture and all this different stuff. So sometimes I have to feel it out, like, are these people who are just gonna call me an Uncle Tom, or are these people like I can actually just keep it all the way real with? So that's the only time I feel like I act different. different because of race?
You know, I also work in political media, but as a leftist, and I honestly feel like I've definitely benefited from being able to be in spaces where I've been able to be authentically myself, and I definitely think that's a
They somehow managed to bring politics into a race conversation.
privilege, especially where I like grew up is just like is something that's regularly happening that people have to go through. But personally, I think I've been able to, especially now in a business side and now my new workplace, I feel like I don't have to adapt my language to make people like respect me or understand where I'm trying to come from, you know?
At what point is it like, damn, we can't even really have conversations without buttoning up and being like, oh, this is how we have to talk like this because so they'll listen, or like regardless as
But do you
people.
think that's racial, or do you think that's
I
just...
think I don't know that it's because I'm right.
You know, they don't have a single hood dude in here, bro. I ain't gonna lie, it makes me feel some type of way. Like, they supposed to get a wide variety. Everyone's talking like me. I need to hear, hey, bro. I mean, bro, I was trying to tell you. Nah, bro, I don't even think so. I need to hear that, bro, so I can really, like, connect the dots. Because, like, that's still black culture.
We've seen you.
I know. I think I know exactly where he's going. I don't think it's intrinsically rooted in race, but I think just the way the social genetic makeup of people are. I think just by way of people of specific races speaking a certain way or being perceived a certain way, it tends to be more often than not rooted in race, based off of like urban Black Americans.
Yeah.
I think most people have barriers they put up when they get introduced to a new group.
So you're on
I
any
when I
team that
disagree,
ain't trying to be
instead of
extra?
strongly disagree
Large
because
McDonald's
like,
meals?
there have been situations where I get introduced to a group
Oh,
of
ain't trying to
someone of a
ban?
different race, and like,
Come on, bro.
yeah, at first I'm pulled back, but once I get comfortable with them, those walls come down, and then yeah, that's where my true self comes out.
For me, it really depends because I've been shooting music videos in the hood, so I really need to basically adopt myself to become a black person. So for me,
What?
it's not a problem like meeting new races. I always like vibe and chill with people.
Do you think adapting yourself to those different ethnicities is like something that's required to foster like a successful relationship?
Like, I would say it's really more for your survival because, you know, like if you are the only white guy on set and like there's like people with like guns and stuff, and you know, you just really need to like fit in and just be chill with it.
You're from the Ukraine, right? Do you feel like not having grown up with American culture as a whole, and then especially not growing up with our subcultures, do you feel like that's influenced the way you move when you're moving between our subcultures?
My
Huh?
mentality
What
is
did you
kind
say?
of mixed because like from the age of like 13, I really started to learn English. From that, I really learned a lot. Like I really got the American like mentality more. And basically like my mentality is like mixed because like in Ukraine, if we see a black person, we call them the N-word.
Huh?
And from our side, it's
Note to
not
self, never go to Ukraine. My fault, bro.
offensive. Like we say it not from a offensive way, but some people can because you know, like you don't see a black person there.
I can understand that because I went to a school that was predominantly black when I was growing up. And when I first saw the first white kid, I was like, what is that? You know what I'm saying? So, like, it was a white girl with, like, red hair, and I was like, whoa, I've never seen this before. You know what I'm saying? So, like, I
Ukraine
understand
racist?
that, like, when
I didn't know that.
a white person comes to a predominantly black group, then you're going to try your best to adapt to that, to our culture, to be like, okay, hey, I get along with you. This is my way of, like, telling you, like, hey, I'm, like, extending an olive branch, basically. So, yeah.
Personally, not to sound triggered, but I just don't like the notion that you're becoming a black person by pretending to be hood or
No,
adopting a hood
just
mentality
like this
because
thing.
not all black people are hood, not all black
Of
people
course.
are ghetto. I understand what you're trying to say, and I don't know if it's a language barrier, so I don't want to like come at you like you're.
That's what I'm saying. We need a real man. I'm not a real man. That came out horrible. That's what I'm saying. We need like a street man in there. We need someone from the slums in there, so he can also give his input, because they got proper African Americans talking, not like the hood. Like there's different subgroups of people. There's hood white people. There's Caucasian white people who are proper. Like, so like we need to have that balance. We need to have that versatility. They need to get somebody from O Block or like, I don't know, the slums or somewhere, and put them in there and let them chop it up.
Racist, but I just really
Yeah, it came out
that's why
horrible though.
Black
I didn't mean to
community
say
defines
like a
ghetto
real man. I
because
didn't mean to
there's
say
a lot of
that. That came out
classy
terrible.
Black people out
Yes,
there.
there's a lot of intelligent Afro Americans out there, and it really like depends on like where you grew up in.
Also, if you are hood and ghetto like me, you can also be all those things too.
White people also experience race-based prejudice.
I mean, everyone experienced some form
Since
of
you
something.
guys probably don't know, I have lived overseas. I've lived in Asian countries. In Japan, there are certain restaurants and stuff like that that you could walk into. You can see people dining in the restaurant, and they're gonna tell you they're closed just because you're white or you're American. So the idea that white people can't really experience racism kind of contradicts
America
the very
summarized?
definition
Yeah.
of the word. Because the definition
Here's what
of
here's
racism.
hold on. I'm gonna give a point. Let me know if it's valid or not. I'm open for whatever you want to call it. But in my opinion, I feel like, of course, white people get like different forms of treatment based off their color as well, because everyone dictates something based off of how you look. If you go into a black area as a white person, they're gonna try to rob you, think you sweet, all that stuff. White men can't jump. There's a whole bunch of stereotypes behind a whole bunch of other stuff of different races. But my thing is this. We all know that, and we all know what black people went through. They got the worst treatment, this and that, boom. We understand that. But here's where I disconnect. I feel like black people cling to that too much. Of course, it was horrible. Let's put that behind us, though, move forward. I feel like black people cling to that too much. And I feel like on the other hand, white people try to force their problems on others too much as well. Like, they try to compensate by saying, well, I go through this too. Like, we get that. We get you going through that, but we went through this. That's the argument they try to use. First off, the black side has to stop trying to hold on to the past, and the white side has to stop trying to combat their problems with our own. You know what I mean? I think I explained that pretty goodly, but if not, then it wasn't meant to be.
Is prejudice based on one's skin color. White people do experience it, but to a different degree.
While I do think that our white brothers and sisters in Christ can experience racial-based prejudice, I don't want to overlook the nuance of that prejudice, because it's not necessarily rooted in anything systematic or anything that's going to actually...
Got him! What did I just say? What did I just say? He's basically saying what I just said. They're going through problems too, but mine was worse. That's literally, I just told you. That's it. That's the black side, and the white side is, but we still have problems. I told you, bro. I don't know the situation, but I can tell you're speaking facts. That's, yeah, like, systematically racist. Like, I hate that, bro. I hate systematic racism. Like, that term alone gets me tight, because, like, me personally, I'm not letting no system or nothing put me down. Of course, it happens to certain people in certain areas. They're born in that circumstance. Of course, it happens. But, bro, at some point in time, you got to let it go and move forward, bro. You can't keep clinging to it. It's unhealthy. You got to forgive and forget. Jesus Christ.
have long-term effects, knock on wood, that are gonna like debilitate a race or inhibit their chances or possibility of succeeding or being seen as better than POC.
I definitely think it's a non-issue, racism towards white people, especially specifically, I want to, like, in America. I don't think it's something that needs to be highlighted as an issue that is a constant threat to lives, day-to-day well-being, progress and success in life in general, because it's not something that's going to inhibit you, and you don't have to walk out your door and think, I'm about to be attacked, like people of color do every single day.
I do agree that white people haven't been put through centuries of hell like black people were, but prejudice towards white people 100% exists, put through centuries of
Attacked, like people of color do every single day.
Listen,
I do agree that white people haven't been put through centuries of hell like black people were, but
comparing once again, it's all good though.
Okay.
We'll
I
let
do
them
agree
rock.
that white people haven't been put through centuries of hell like black people were, but prejudice towards white people 100% exists.
Yeah.
Like whether it's in TV, if it's in movies, like if you watch predominantly black media, there's a lot of roasting towards white people that if it was the other way around, that would never be acceptable today. Then you go on social media like TikTok and you look up white people are bad. You will see videos where they're attacking white people for things that their ancestors did 200 years ago.
Yep.
There are societal benefits at this point for being a person of color, and that those negatively affect white people. Like if you look at affirmative action, diversity quotas in the workplace, all these different things, they lower the bar for black people, but then increase the bar for white people. However, I think where some of the issue comes is because a lot of marginalized groups and people of color back in the day went through so much worse that it's easy for us to discredit the prejudice that white people now deal with today.
I think like on an individualistic level, like yeah, white
You
people
see
get hate
now?
all the time. But I think if you zoom out and you look at the big picture,
Everyone to forgive is dead anyway. Yeah, like we can't keep hating on people that we don't even know. Like they went through that. It was horrible. And I feel like some people are gonna look at me as like not good person because I'm not like paying attention to it and I wasn't there, so I can't speak on how bad it was, which is true. I wasn't in that situation myself. But me personally, I feel like in order to move forward, we gotta forgive and forget. That's the only take I can really give on it.
it's a little bit different. And like talking about like YouTube having, you know, racist content for anyone out there, it's like I would have to go and seek that out versus it like coming to me. Versus like on Twitter.
Against white
Give me 1 second, bro. My fault. I had a business phone call. Bro, I'm not finna like do nothing to the window, bro. Alright, let's where was we at? Let's go back into it.
people.
Yeah, I would have to like look for a video being like, oh, people who hate white people.
I agree.
Like versus like Twitter, I don't have to scroll very long before I see some person making some out-of-pocket comment about
And regulation
shit.
being lifted
Excuse
so
me.
people can see that even more so.
Right.
Absolutely, that's 100% right. And even saying affirmative action, statistically and on paper, white people, white women were benefiting more from affirmative action at colleges than any
I
other.
feel like videos are
demographic. So
good.
I also don't think that's
Hold
fair
on,
to say,
I'm
but
letting
I
him
definitely
talk.
get what you mean. And again, I think it's the prejudice is still there though.
And I will say that black people do deal with prejudice. I think every demographic deals with prejudice. There are racist people everywhere. Like, I just don't think systemic racism is an issue anymore in today's society, but I do think that there are racist people out there.
I think that there's a really important distinction. Our language is constantly evolving, and you were talking about the definition of racism. Our societal definition has changed to include a systemic part of it. And I completely disagree with this idea that people of color don't have systemic things against them still. Because the fact that we still have the KKK, the fact that we still have these things, and they are in positions of power. As long as that exists,
I'm gonna let
as
them
long as
cook,
that's
but
a
I got a
part of our
gym, trust me.
country's, like makeup right now, which it is, and that's our power structure. I don't feel like you can honestly deny systemic racism against the black community, which is why prejudice is so different from racism. I don't think white people can experience racism in this country, but we can experience prejudice based on the societal definitions we now use.
All right, so boom. I'm finna cook. Tell me if I'm lying. In my personal opinion, I feel like videos like this are great because we get to really hear people talk and give their perspectives and listen to other stuff, right? But let's be completely honest. The real world doesn't work this way, bro. You're not gonna walk down the street and just have like some dialect with some, like, you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, the root of the problem is racism and like all they keep saying systemic, all this other crazy stuff, right? At the end of the day, if we all just come together and become one person, regardless of the skin color, we literally fix the planet. And it's so simple to think that all we have to do is just become a group of people, which is wishful thinking. It's wishful thinking. But like me, for example, right? I go down the street, I'm saying hi to people, I'm greeting people, I'm going in the store, walking by people saying excuse me. Like, I'm literally just being a good person. If everyone just acted like a good person, we wouldn't even be having these conversations. It has nothing to do with your race or whatever. Just be a good person in general. Somebody walks into a store, you get mad at them because their skin color. Like, you need to fix yourself. That's the problem. Not like the whole whatever it is. And then you got black on black crime, people shooting each other. I don't know. I'm just saying, I'm a pacifist. What I'm saying is just let's all come together, hug it out, and like live life peacefully, cherry blossoms, and boom.
Being sexually unattracted to a race is racist.
What?
I think where the line gets drawn is when if a white male was sitting there swiping and he's just like, I don't like black girls, they're all ugly. They have too big of lips. I think that's where the line gets drawn. But you can't really help
Yeah, I
but
know
be
it's not that
attracted to,
easy,
like, my
obviously,
fiance's
but
Mexican, and it's like I love
I don't
it.
walk across the street and then talk to somebody like, you know, the statistical problem because black people and white. I don't do that. No one does that. So if we could just have communication like how me and you are, we'd be good. Hey, what's going on, man? What's your name? Oh, okay, I'm Nolly. What's up with you, bro? Boom. Which is obviously like you said, not that easy, but I don't understand why it isn't. Why isn't it that easy? Why can't it be that easy? Why? What's making it so hard to just do that?
Him for who he is, not how he looks.
I think that we are conditioned to be attracted and to respond to people that we grow up and around with. So homogeneously, we grow up with people who look like us. So when you move into dating and things like that, statistically, you're going to be attracted to people that you grew up seeing, right? However, when you are discrediting a certain race for whatever reason based off their ethnicity, meaning everybody who did exist, is existing, and will exist from that race, you are not feeling anything. Cute, I don't control your body or your thoughts, but on one hand, I'm like, let's maybe unpack that. Also, where's my camera? To all the girls that's putting this in their bios, that's none of our business. Stop doing that. Keep that to yourself. We don't want to hear that. We don't want to hear it.
For me,
Wait, what was in the bio? I
think that,
zoned
we're
out.
talking about conditioning and how we grew up, right? If you go to like South Africa, for instance, which within some of our lifetimes had apartheid, if you grow up in that, especially as a black person, where you're constantly being mistreated by every single white person, and you're conditioned to be like, white person, no thank you, I don't think that's racist.
I agree, and I did not grow up in South Africa with
Yeah.
apartheid. However, like I
Racist
said,
stuff
the nickname
that
of my
hurt
town was
people
Clan
is
T.
their
Like a lot of
bios.
my interactions growing up were incredibly racist,
Oh.
and I'm dating a white guy. So I totally get what you mean. I don't want to discredit black people or anyone who's had those kind of situations, because it's not that they're not dating white people. It's
Yeah.
definitely, it's more like they're cautious.
I think you used the perfect word earlier. Is it conditioned or
She low-key was spitting. I don't know what she said, but it sounded like she was spitting. But I don't care, bro. Like, I'm just like, I'm a peaceful person, bro.
I was thinking about it on the terms of me being a black woman. I feel like it's a lot different when it is a black woman going into dating someone that is not of their
Dude, there's
race.
black dudes who don't blake. There's black dudes who don't date black women. So you tell me those black men are racist?
I can tell you from my experience with dating Hispanic men, white, whatever, they've only seen Jerry Springer and Maury. So it's like they have a whole different idea of what a black woman is. Like before my husband changed a lot, one of the comments made to me was he was afraid of me going to his house with braids in my hair, because then they would assume that I was a different kind of girl instead of looking at me for who I am.
I have been denied access because of my race.
Yeah, it happens, but I ain't heard about it.
I can go anywhere, I can sit down anywhere, and I am not going to be denied because of how I look. And I would be ignorant to not admit that.
And I'm gonna counter that with we are justifiably not let into spaces, and our whiteness takes away access to.
Here's the
things like
problem.
power.
Somebody does that to me, you know, you could get mad. Hey, bro, what are you saying, man? I'd be like, all right, bro, it is what it is. And I just go home, do something else, enjoy my life. Because at the end of the day, that moment doesn't define my entire life. Like, why get mad over it? It's not even that deep. Like, I don't... Like, of course, it's annoying and it's very unfair, but I grew up knowing, I was always taught life ain't fair. So I grew up not expecting nothing from anybody. So if they do that, oh, well, you can't eat here or we're booked and clearly there's open seats, I'm not even going to argue with you. I'm going to just leave, go somewhere else. If I can't go nowhere else, order some food, watch a movie, call it a night. You know, it's unfortunate, but I'm not going to cry about it.
Wows. And there's an island in Hawaii that's only for natives or for like safe spaces for black communities or whatever else. We are justifiably denied access because of our skin.
Period. We love the nuance.
The thing about Hawaii, though,
Yeah.
Hawaii is stolen land.
That's
I
called being
believe
a
that they have
victim?
every right to be able to say only.
So I'm
we're
supposed to
not-
argue and pull my phone out? Don't ever come to this place because this guy here, he didn't let me in because I'm too not, like, it is what it is. I can't change he's already made in his mind he's gonna treat me wrong. So there's no point in me trying to convince him. I might as well just take my L and go to the crib. It is what it is. I can't do nothing about I can make a bigger scene, but at the end of the day, that's not gonna make me happy. Not even argue, confront. So what you gonna do? You're gonna yell, you're gonna have a screaming match with him? They're gonna deny it. You know they're gonna deny it. You know for a fact they're gonna deny it. I'm not gonna argue with somebody I know is in the wrong. There's just no point. I'm just leave. If I'm a victim, it is what it is.
allowed to go here because that
Justifiably.
was theirs. It was literally stolen land that was stolen
It's
by
not like he's
white
walking up and
people.
touching me.
No, but that's why
Yeah.
it's justifiably, it's still denied access.
Yeah.
But it is
it's not my
justifiable.
fault.
100%. Don't
Yeah,
let me
it's
in.
denied access, but it's justifiable. But it's like in my own day-to-day life, I could go anywhere. I can sit down anywhere. I can go read a book in a library. I can go to Starbucks. People don't fear me because of how I look, and so they don't feel the need to be like, you can't be here.
But like in your day-to-day life, are you being denied access? Like, are you trying to go to that island? That they won't let you? Okay.
Then I think that's a really good question.
Like in
Has it happened? I guess. Because, like,
would
are you
say
seeking
yeah.
those spaces then?
I'm not necessarily seeking them. If I am already aware that this is like, hey, this is for us, not for you. I'm not gonna show up and be like, yeah, but like, I'm a cool white person. But there are spaces that we are not allowed, and I think that's okay.
No, it is okay. But if you're not actively seeking to be part of those circles, you're not being denied access to them.
I will agree with that.
See, I agree with him.
Sure, and I can say that maybe those are not the best examples, but like I think especially because my social circles are predominantly people of color, there are definitely things where they're like where I've had them be like, this is not a conversation for you, and I'm like, okay. I have had those experiences. I'm okay with them. I want to be clear. Like, I think there should be spaces that aren't for me, and that is okay. But they've existed and they've been in my life.
I have just one really specific example. Otherwise, I feel like in general, I'm not denied access because of my race, just in my experience. But I had an ex whose stepfather was wildly racist, like Nazi memorabilia, like just insane individual.
People like
And I
that
was
are
never
sad.
allowed over her house.
Just racist for no
because of
reason.
him. And
Sad-
the one
sad way
time
to
that
live.
I kind of snuck in, he was staring at me through the window, and I'll never forget that
Yeah.
in my life. The way that man was staring at me through the window, and then cursed out his kids for having me in the house. That man's now in prison for doing God knows
Something.
what, but it's where he belongs.
I was looking for funding for my film, and most of them are for colored people, and I totally understand that. And there is like not many that I found that are for like everybody. My mind would be like, damn, I cannot do it. Like I cannot apply to it. But from the other side, I understand that the Black community, like you guys need to get your movies out there.
If anything, I feel like I've been invited too much. You know, I feel like I'm
real.
kind of like an undercover agent where I'm like because I talk a certain way or because I present myself
Where she
a certain
grew up
way,
at?
they assume like, oh, I could say this in front of you.
100%.
And I'm like, what do you say?
Exactly.
You know, I've never
That's
really
it.
been.
Now I'll say that too. I've been
Yeah.
tokenized so
Amen.
many times.
like, I don't want
we
that,
have
right?
to have you here. We need young Black representation. And I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, I'm gonna stay home.
Yeah.
I am proud of my race.
Everyone should be on agree.
3, 2,
Everyone should be on agree. Everyone should be on agree.
I will go first, and I will stand 10 toes in.
I was just being ironic to
I
say it
think-
over there.
Why are you not proud to be what?
Please no.
No,
I'm here. I cried a little bit.
I was being messy.
Why was she on disagree? Hold on. Sis, we're gonna have to talk. What you doing on disagree? You not proud to be a brother?
Just keep it specific to my experience of what I know. As Black Americans, we're pretty much the top culture that gets replicated, referenced. People scoot in and scoot out because they want to seem cool and interesting and stuff. And I think that that's so kind of us to like kind of like be beaten down for so long and be kind of separated from our African roots, create names for ourselves, culture, language around our identities as Black Americans, and have that be a thing that's just reverberating across the globe. I think that's so cute. Can never be replicated, can never be understated. And
I'm not a Black American. I'm a human.
love that about it.
That was kind of the start of my like thought process
Quote
too,
that.
like just the basis of being torn down so adamantly, so regularly for hundreds of years in law even, like it is insane that we are here today to even be on camera, to even be in a place with other white people. Like it is a beautiful thing that we
Excuse
have been
me.
able to flourish in such dirt, like literal filth and grime that our ancestors had to go through and even our grandparents had to go through. Like in my 8th grade yearbook I saw recently, it said like the South will rise again. Like, and this was 2015.
What?
So like this is such a day-to-day thing, and I am proud to be Black, and it's hard to say that. Like it was hard to say that as a kid, like, or else I could be called the N-word, I could be reprimanded, and I feel so blessed to even be able to think that.
Everybody needs to be proud of
I'm not
their
gonna lie, I
race
love being
and
Black.
stop
I ain't
this
gonna lie.
like race.
I love being, never used sunscreen in my life. There's a lot of pros. I can jump pretty high, relatively quick, nice muscular build. I love my hair. I could do like different hairstyles and stuff, That's cool. What else is like real cool? Yeah, just being alive, bro. Being alive, it's great. I was on the phone with my friends the other day. He's not the same race as me. He's like more Mexican-ish. He's like Mexican-ish white. He's like half and half. He's mixed race. And he told me I have good genes. I'm like, bro, what are you talking about, bro? I low-key cheesing, but I played it off. I was like, are you tweaking, bro? Are you tweaking? Whole time I'm like, what? You know what I mean?
He says bullshit because, like, you could be green, red, black, white, Hispanic, like, it doesn't matter.
I agree with like what you're saying because my own personal belief is that at the basis of who we are is that we're all just people. We're not a skin tone. But because of those before me, I now have to fight back against the idea that all white people are racist. I remember being in 4th grade and learning about the Holocaust for the first time and saying, I don't want to be German anymore. Meanwhile, my mother's whole family is German. American history, you look at things like slavery, you look at things like Jim Crow laws, segregation. There is so much awful stuff that has happened and is still happening in closeted ways that I cannot be proud of the way that I look.
Yeah, for me,
What?
like, I am.
That's not your fault, though.
Proud of who I am, like who I.
Unless
grew up
you
being,
did
like,
it,
I
it's
look
not
who
your
I am.
fault.
But like, if I were to say I'm a proud white man, like I don't even know what that means. Like, there have been 0 racial hurdles in my life. Now, like, I'm a proud gay man because like I've had to go through shit to get to where I am now, and you know, even to that point, so much of queer culture comes from black culture. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
I want to be proud of the things I've done, the people who I've touched, whose hearts I've opened up. I feel like it's beyond our race. I feel like what it is our experiences that make our light shine through. So that's what I'm proud of, actually. Yeah.
I think that there's a really big difference between being proud to be black and being proud to be white. So being proud of your culture, beautiful thing. Like, be proud to be Ukrainian. I'm proud to be Slavic. The black community is different, and the reason it's different is because their culture, specifically black Americans, their culture was stripped away from them when they were brought over here. So then the culture became being black American. The race became cultural.
I mixed that up.
So
Sorry
it's, no,
about the hate.
yeah, but
Yeah.
so I think that there's a really big difference between I am proud of my people are Slavic, versus I am proud of my race. It just gets convoluted because black Americans, the race has become the culture because the culture was stripped away.
I also think oftentimes when you talk about
That does kind of
white
suck if you think about it,
pride
bro.
versus-
Like, I'll never know what tribe I'm really from and all sort of stuff. If you really think about it, like, I'll never know. Which, I mean, it sucks. But, like I said, I'm never going to cry over nothing, bro. Proud to be alive.
Black pride. Oftentimes, black pride is rooted in like love and like perseverance of like culture, customs, language, and things like that. And white pride is often rooted in like black hate, Latin
Facts.
hate,
Facts.
Asian hate. So I think that's like an interesting nuance to not overlook.
No, and I think that's such an important point. I think there's a difference between I'm proud and therefore I'm better versus I am proud of what we have overcome.
Yeah, and then the whole idea of white pride started with people who think the Confederate
Okay.
flag is a personality trait. So how can I be proud of that?
I'm not saying that this applies to any of you, but I meet a lot of white people, particularly white liberals, who will actively say that they're ashamed of being white. And that is wild to me, because how can you look at your past and because, yes, your race did terrible things in the past, but you shouldn't define yourself as that. If anything, you should look at that and reflect.
So do you think white people should be proud to be specifically white?
See, I think that's a really nuanced question when you're white, because I think you guys had the valid point of ethnicity is different, because white isn't a collective culture in the way that black is, because black people have been grouped together and have a similar experience. But white, Italian American, you should definitely be proud of being Italian American. You should be proud of being Slavic American. You should be proud of your lineage. But just to say, oh, I'm proud to be white, yeah, that has a weird connotation to it because it's not a collective culture. But what I really want to emphasize is that you should not be ashamed of being white in the way that a lot of people are.
Yeah.
Or maybe you should.
He's spitting.
You probably
At
know
that
about
point,
it.
it's on you.
And listen, one takeaway I want to give away before the video ends is this. I don't want this to be taken out of context or nothing. I wanted it to be very specific, very clear what my motive and goal here and my end game and thought process is. I honestly believe that the problem is not the skin color, but the person. It's the person. There's a whole bunch of great white people, a whole bunch of great black people, a whole bunch of horrible black people, a whole bunch of horrible white people. Let's come together, bro. As people, you know what I mean?